Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. Escapers, we all know that there's that one skill you don't want to train because you need it for a requirement. You have the option to do it in an AFK and chill way, or get carpal tunnel in your late 20s to get it over with quicker. But which one do you go for? In today's video, I will show you 3 ways to train each skill, and then give you my opinion as to which one I would stick to if I had to start all over again. We will cover AFK, active and sweaty methods, and quickly analyze them, giving you some rough estimates for XP per hour. If today's upload is helpful, remember to subscribe with notifications on, and to join the Discord for general guidance, and also to find other people to grind it together. Now, the intro for the previous script was like 2 minutes long, so instead of wasting time with disclaimers, you can see them on screen right now, so we are all on the same page. And if you have any further questions, make sure to leave them in a comment below. So pause the screen if you need to, and when you're done, let's dive right in. As I normally do for these, I will go down the list of skills we have in the game from top left to bottom right, starting of course with melee. For the AFK option, we have the very popular AFK haven, the Nightmare Zone. In one of my previous guides, I was able to rack in almost 140k XP per hour, and by just sitting there and clicking every minute for just absorption and overload potions. I can personally get around the 70k XP per hour if I go on a melee Slayer trip, which is not really that much, but training Slayer alongside combat is always the best. Finally, we don't really have a sweaty method for this one because as long as you're paying attention, you can't really speed this up much like we can with ranged and magic. I always recommend people do this actively as they train with Slayer, because you don't want to be what I like to call a Nightmare Zone account. High combat and low Slayer. So, go to your preferred Slayer Master and train on those tasks. The AFK method to train ranged is by simply setting up a cannon wherever you go on your Slayer trips if it's possible. Or you could even leave it up in multi-combat areas to rack up experience while just refilling it with cannonballs. Just keep it in mind that experience can depend where you use it. For the active method, I also recommend training Slayer alongside ranged, since you can kill monsters with your weapon and the cannon itself. On my Slayer tasks, I can get around 80,000 XP per hour with this combination. For the sweaty method, we are going to use Chinchompas in the Monkey Madness 2 caves. Doing so at high 90s can yield up to 1 million XP per hour, but if you want to speed things up, you can start at about 75 or 80, which will grant a very rough estimate of 500k XP per hour. If you ask me, I would personally stick to the active method since ranged is super useful later on, and you will always train it no matter what. It is fairly accurate, so you don't really need to rush the 99. For magic, we have a lot of cool spells in the Lunar Book, my favorite one being String Jewelry. You can use this at level 80, which can grant you about 140k XP per hour. There's also a lot of other spells you can check out. For active training, and especially for lower levels, I recommend Tele-Alching, which I have made a guide on. And although this might sound sweaty, it is not as intensive as the upcoming method. I don't really recommend training magic along Slayer because not as many monsters are weak to magic as they are to melee and ranged, so wait until you unlock the Trident to give it a go. When it comes to sweat, we are going to go back to the Monkey Madness 2 caves, this time with our Ancient Book. With burst or barrage spells, you can yoink about 400k XP per hour depending on the tier of spell you use. If you ask me, I would personally stick to AFK utility spells to get 99 in a chill way, and then use magic against monsters and bosses where it is useful to do even more damage without worrying about slow kills. For prayer, there aren't many training methods and even less AFK ones, but one I could think of would be taking your Bone Crusher or Ash Sanctifier to your Slayer trips, and slowly but surely getting experience when your foes perish. Just keep in mind that you won't be getting more than like 5 to 8k experience per hour. As for the active one, Ensouled Heads are a fairly budget way to train, and you're also going to walk away with some combat experience. With high tier heads, you can get upwards of 340k XP per hour, and the Dragon Heads are obviously the best ones to train, but the requirements are fairly high. If you want to go full sweat and burn a hole in your pocket, you can manually use bones on a gilded altar, and while superior dragon bones grant upwards of 1 mil XP per hour, this is disgustingly expensive, so I would recommend sticking to Dragon Bones for 500k experience in the same amount of time. I would personally stick to the sweaty option to get prayer over with quickly, and once I hit my goal level, I would switch to the Bone Crusher. For the absolute best skill in the game, the only AFK option available is Zeah Runecrafting. Making blood and soul runes can get you an average of 40k XP per hour, and if you want to chill activity, this is as good as it gets. For the active one, look no further than the best skilling update in the history of the game, Guardians of the Rift. This scales with your level, and during the later ones you may get around the 50k experience per hour, but you will have so much fun that you won't even want it to stop. If you disagree, you're an absolute degenerate. Obviously, our sweaty method is going to be lava runes with Daylight Essence, and even without tick perfect performance, doing this can get you around 125,000 XP per hour. But keep in mind that this is going to need 110% of your attention, so if you want to get it over with quickly, this is your best bet. If I made another account, I would 100% stick to Guardians of the Rift for most of my journey, and I would sprinkle a little bit of money making with blood or wrath runes in between. Construction will be a bit quicker because, to put it bluntly, there are no AFK ways to train this skill. However, a slightly more chill activity is mahogany homes. This also depends on your level and on the type of contract you choose, but on average you can expect about 190,000 XP per hour. To also speed up your carpal tunnel, you can stick to furniture such as larder, stables, dungeon doors, cape racks, but the one I recommend is teak benches, which can yield about 500,000 XP per hour, obviously with good clicks. I did oak dungeon doors to 99, but the previous option is also good, although a little bit more expensive. I would personally do mahogany homes until I get the full outfit, but would mostly stick to the sweaty method for this to go over with quickly as well. There are not many things you can do for AFK agility experience other than barbarian fishing for about 5k XP per hour. So you're better off going for an active training method in the form of rooftop courses, which are still fairly chill if you want to do something in the background. This can give you about 60k XP per hour at the RD course, going down according to the place you do it. If you want to push your abilities to the limit, look no further than the Hallowed Sepulchre. This also depends on the floor you can access, but at level 92 and after reaching floor 5 without looting anything, at the highest performance you can expect about 90,000 experience per hour. For me personally, I would prefer doing Sepulchre because it's just better experience and money than rooftops. And doing this will give you a better understanding of how movement works in OSRS. If you really want Herblore experience without selling a kidney and by not paying much attention, you can automatically clean herbs and wait for them to be done. This also depends on the tier of herb, but typically it's not going to go past 45k per hour with Torstals. The active method involves potions, which can also depend on which one you make. But at 81, you can make Sarah Brews for upwards of 450,000 XP per hour. The sweaty Herblore training method involves manually adding secondary ingredients to finished potions every tick with the spacebar key held all the time. Some notable ones are extended super anti-fire, anti-venom, and stamina potions for above 500k XP per hour with good clicks. This skill is expensive enough already, so I will always stick to the active method. This way you get slightly less experience per hour, but won't be as click intensive as the sweaty one. For thieving we have a lot of viable methods, and people can train this actively by stealing all your information. But today's sponsor, NordVPN, can help you prevent something like this. Now more than ever, the internet is plagued with people trying to play dirty. But NordVPN has a ton of tools to help you stay safe when browsing online. NordVPN also has a cool feature that protects you against malware, so if you visit a sketchy site by accident, not only will you be notified of the potential harm, but it will also block it entirely so you keep your PC squeaky clean. NordVPN also offers a cool feature that allows you to virtually travel to other countries in order to access content online you normally couldn't. Is there a particular show you want to watch and it's not in your country? One click and you are there. Is there a game you want to download but you just don't see it in the virtual store? Boom, NordVPN can make it happen. And you know what the best part about this is? NordVPN is offering an incredible 2-year plan plus 4 free months if you use the link on screen or in the description below. I know you value your RuneScape account more than your life, so get it on this amazing deal to stop worrying about cybersecurity and leave it on NordVPN's hands. Thank you very much for sponsoring this video, and let's continue. Okay, now back to the video. For thieving, there is the one-click Sorcerer's Garden method, which can apparently net you 140,000 XP per hour at the higher tier gardens. But this is way too annoying to set up. You can actively train it by pickpocketing RD Knights, for example, and at 95 with the RD Diary done, you can get 250k XP per hour without failing a single action. For slightly more experience per hour coming in at 270k, you can run Pyramid Plunder and also try your luck at the Pharaoh Scepter, as well as the thieving pet from the chests in each room. I always pick the active method as Pyramid Plunder and the Blackjacking are a little bit more RNG, and it can be quite frustrating if you don't have a high enough level. For crafting we can do gold bracelets, and even though it's almost the same focus as the upcoming ones, I have it here because it is a really cheap way to train at 40k XP per hour, and it can actually give you some profit with correct prices. For the active training method, you can blow glass at a higher variety of levels, and with light orbs you can get upwards of 122k XP per hour. The sweaty method is really not that sweaty, but you're going to get less actions per cycle, which means you will click more and it is Dragonhide bodies. With black ones, you can get up to 426k per hour, and if you ask me, I would personally stick to glass blowing because with skills like prayer, construction, and herblore, which are already expensive enough, I can be patient with crafting to do it for cheap. For the AFK fletching method, we will stick to the iconic unstrung bows, and higher tier logs can give you 155k XP per hour. This is one of the two options with logs, but with the correct ones, you will even make some profit. You can also make bolts with gem tips, but this is going to cost some GP and it's not really recommended. If you want to do a record-breaking number of clicks, you can add feathers to darts and bolts, and experience per hour will depend on which tier you use. With Dragon and with Tick Perfect clicks, you can see XP per hour in the millions, but if you do adamant darts which aren't as expensive, 600k XP per hour will do for now. For this, I would just bite the bullet and go for the AFK method, because I'm really not going to dump my bank and my mental health for the fast experience with darts. Slayer also varies a lot when it comes to the many Slayer tasks in the game, but you make it around the 20k XP per hour if you go to multi-combat Slayer locations and wait for monsters to attack you with auto-retaliate on. For the active way, you can take your cannon and attack monsters yourself for more experience in places like the Meyerditch Laboratories for Bloodveld. If you want to be a true gamer, look no further than tasks you can burst or barrage, like Dust Devils, Necreals, Abyssal Demons, and of course Smoke Devils. You can see experience per hour of up to 150k with the highest tier of monster. But again, this is going to depend on which one you kill and how fast you do it. For this, I am perfectly fine doing the active method, as I enjoy casual Slayer quite a bit. Birdhouse runs are the highlight of AFK Hunter training. You can get as much as 4k experience in a single minute, but the catch is that you can only do this every hour. But effective experience per hour can skyrocket to around 250k. For active training, I recommend Herblore, which will yield about 120k experience, and if you get lucky with a pet, it is one of the biggest flexes in the game. If you want to go full sweat, we are going to start dimensioning tick manipulation, and we will use it at Chinchampas. With red ones and at the private hunter area, you can get up to 200k XP per hour, and without tick manipulation, you will obviously not get as much. I would personally balance out all three methods, but if I could only pick one, Chinchampas will take the crown. At level 92 you can mine amethyst for around 20k XP per hour, and although it has quite a steep requirement, it can't get any more AFK than this. For 60k XP in the same amount of time, you can power mine iron ore at the mining guild while you work for those expert mining gloves. We are also going to use tick manipulation for the best mining experience in the game at about 150k XP per hour at granite rocks in the desert. I've personally never done this, so be my guest and give it a try if you hate this skill. I have no problem sticking to iron ore for my levels, and even though I didn't mention it, the motherlode mine would also be part of my journey. Smithing doesn't get any slower than making cannonballs at a jaw-dropping 13,000 XP per hour, of course with a normal mold and with a bit of profit as well. Training actively will have you going to the Giant's Foundry for upwards of 190k XP per hour, and a lot of points for store unlocks and even the smithing outfit. For the best method, we have gold bars at the Blast Furnace, which can give you about 360,000 XP per hour. If you are going for rank 2 smithing in 24 hours, make sure to be wearing your diapers and have empty Mountain Dew bottles at hand. I would do the Giant's Foundry for the unlocks, but mostly stick to the sweaty method for a ton of experience. Once you have the level required, fishing sacred eels will be a great method to chill with. Although, like many previous AFK methods, it's not going to shine in terms of XP per hour at a measly 20k. For slightly more with just a few clicks per cycle, you can do barbarian fishing and your gains will jump to around 60k. This is also a great method for passive strength and agility experience. We come back to the tick manipulation methods for the sweaty one, and you can instead 3-tick barbarian fish. At mid-level 80s, you can achieve above 130k XP per hour, and like all previous tick methods, be advised that you will need to be fully focused in the game. As for what I recommend, I always see gathering skills as something to chill with, and fishing is no exception. I would stick to barbarian fishing for most of my journey, and that's about it. Cooking is nice because the AFK method is probably the highest one by far in this category. When you have a higher level, and by cooking sharks for example, you can see numbers of up to 300k XP per hour, granted you are at either the Mids Guild or the Rogue's Den. For higher numbers, at the cost of less AFK time, you can ferment wines at lower levels, and this is going to give you more than 400k XP per hour, especially when you stop making bad wines. To get access to one of the highest and most click-intensive methods though, you can 1-tick cook karam ones, which will yield upwards of 900,000 XP per hour. But you will have to do like 2 clicks per tick, which will most likely make your wrist hurt in a matter of minutes. For cooking, I will always recommend using food at a range, and of course wines if you want a faster 99. I would personally say that there are no AFK ways to train firemaking for the simple fact that there are only 2 viable ways to train this skill, both of which fit in the next categories. For active training, I recommend Winter Toad, and like Guardians of the Rift, this is going to scale with your firemaking level, and at the high level 90s you can get around the 300k XP per hour. For the sweaty one, we will be burning redwood logs at level 90, and if you can find a good bank and a great rhythm, you can see rates of 500k XP per hour or even more. This will be very click intensive though. If I made another account, I would honestly stick to Winter Toad as it is 100% free, and will also yield profit unlike burning logs in a straight line. Alright, we're almost there. For woodcutting, the only realistic AFK method is chopping trees that require a higher level, the best one for experience being redwood. If you do this, you'll be getting about 60k XP per hour, but profit won't be amazing. It will be better than the next method, which is teak trees, which you will drop right away. I recommend doing this in Priffinus for a chance to get crystal shards, but this is completely up to you. With this method you can get about 80k XP per hour. This is a skill we can also train by doing tick manipulation, and by applying it to teak trees you will be able to get more than double your experience rates at a humble 200k per hour, which is a huge improvement. However, I would stick to cutting teaks and dropping them without tick manipulation, because it's just another gathering skill you just want to chill with. The final skill we will look at is farming. Like some of the previous ones, AFK experience is going to come from your hourly farm and allotment runs. And there are so many combinations for this that it would be hard to give you an estimate. For the only way to actively train this skill, we have the Tide Farm. And at level 74 you unlock the highest tier seeds. This can yield rates of up to 110k XP per hour, so if you really want to speed up that farming, this is the way to go. Because of the nature of this skill, there's no real way to train this in a sweaty way, other than maybe setting an alarm every hour to do as many farm runs as possible, but it's still going to be time locked. I always recommend the AFK one because Tide Farm should only be done for the benefit to auto-rake your patches and maybe get the scaling outfit. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. A massive thank you to all my channel members, you boys and girls are incredible, and your support really does go a long way. You can join this list of absolute legends by clicking the join button below and give this channel a monetary pledge for some cool perks in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. In the next one, I will have either a bank revealed video if you were either hacked or if you dumped your entire bank for a single item. I hope you're looking forward to that one, but for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you then. Peace.